What's up, all you sexy beaches out there? Code 3 Cosplay, and we're back with another video. So here's the deal. We got to talk about Denver Comic-Con 2017. First of all, it was a lot of fun, as all Comic-Cons are, or the vast majority of them are. This one was a little bit different, though, and there's some major issues that I think we need to talk about and things that I think need to be addressed. This con had a massive feel from last year, different feel from last year. That was very, very negative. As you guys know, yeah, I tend to complain about a lot of things. That's just who I am and how I work. However, I do usually highlight the good over the bad. Unfortunately, this year, there wasn't much good to overlay the bad. And as you guys seen and things that I've written on Facebook about last year, it was an absolutely incredible con. One of the best the best I've been to so far. It was amazing. This year was a complete 180, and there was a lot of policy changes that led into a lot of issues, a lot of people unhappy. One thing to keep in mind throughout this video, however, is all the things that went down, all things that happened, all the negative things are my opinion and my opinion only. I'm only one person. I'm going to be talking about one or two, three other people and their experiences as well. The other one being my fiance, Daytura Lovely Cosplay, as a lot of you guys know. But keep in mind, we're just a tiny bit of the entire con. We might be in the minority in this, but however, from speaking with all of my other friends from different backgrounds, different areas, different specialties dealing with the con, everyone from exhibitors to panelists to charity workers, everyone largely had very similar or the exact same complaints or situations pop up with them while going through the con. Also, I talked to a lot of random attendees, and they got a lot of the same sentiment. A lot of things are going to be talked about. I'll delineate when things are actually a very personal experience, where obviously it could only happen to us or probably only happen to us, as opposed to a lot of the other things which I appear to be global from when I talk to other people. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first things first, guys, as always, cons are fun, right? Cons are fun. Cons are a great time. You get to go there, you get to see awesome people, awesome cosplay. I get to see friends sometimes only once a year due to our work schedules, just the way our days off line up and all that kind of stuff. Just generally busy, or maybe they're a little bit further away. I get to see all those people. I love them. I miss them to death. And again, just walking around, seeing all the awesome cosplayers, seeing the art there. The general vibe of a Comic-Con always seems really good, and it's just a nice break. It's a nice break from reality, right? That's one of the reasons we all go to cons, kind of step out of real life and kind of step into a nice little fantasy world that's nice and tailored, and it's just awesome to be a different person or just kind of meld into the crowd for a day. I believe that's why a lot of people like cons. It's personally one of the reasons why I like cons. With that in mind, this con was great. They had great people there. They had great celebrity panels this time. It was absolutely amazing. We got to see Felicia Day and James and Oliver Phelps, which are the Weasley brothers, and Harry Potter. Those two major celebrity panels are the ones that we went to. They were absolutely amazing. Felicia Day especially. Love you, girl, if you're watching this. Sorry, she's like 3D waifu for me. I love her to death. Her panel was hilarious. But anyways, there's more to it than just that. I'm going to break this down into a couple different sections between different policy changes that I believed dampened Comic-Con this year for me. The first one for me was that these rule changes have absolutely had a massive, major impact on the con this year. And again, a negative way. They were kind of going for this whole family-friendly vibe, but the thing is, these things are all emotion-based, that they did, the changes that they made to their weapon policy, their alcohol policy, their prop weapon costume policy. There's no logic behind a lot of this. A lot of the security, quote unquote, that they had did absolutely nothing in any way, shape, or form, and I know this as an expert in security field, to actually make the event more secure. All it did was cause problems. It caused people to become more upset. It caused lines to be significantly longer this year, and there's nothing of actual pure tangible benefit that came from it. A lot of these things led into a more dampened feel for this Comic-Con. So in other words, these emotion-based policy changes that they made that have no way in shape or form of actually helping with security, on top of extremely poor training for their security staff, which was Argus, which is notoriously a bad security company, and also for their actual volunteers themselves, led to massive inconsistencies, which made the bad rules even worse. Because now they're being selectively enforced. People don't know what they're talking about. They'll send you here and there, and we got some stories about that later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. First things first, let's talk about the costume changes. The costume policy was much different this year, and it's actually significantly different than a lot of cons. They wanted to make sure that people had sports bra coverage on top, and they had leotard coverage on the bottom. So pretty much wear a bra and don't have a thong on. They made those policies go across all genders. My issue with that actually excludes certain genders from being able to do certain cosplays without making the cosplay look kind of stupid. So some dude wants to cosplay someone like, how about the new Aquaman or Khal Drogo, right? Someone like that. They could not go shirtless. They would have to have, if this was a male cosplayer, right, or someone who identifies male, they'd have to have like a bra on and then kind of paint it to like look like them in order to fit those rules, if that makes sense. In which case, they also said if it looks like it's nude colored, it's also banned. This led to a lot of issues throughout the con. So my fiance Datura Lovely Cosplay was kind of worried about wearing her Mad Moxie because obviously it's all boobies. It turns out they could care less about actual cleavage, even though this is for the children. They just needed women to have straps on. So one of another cosplayer that I know, she was Ariel, right, who just has a bra on, but it's a strapless bra. She had to like last minute put straps on it just to be in conformance with that. I don't really understand exactly what about straps versus strapless would just traumatize a kid beyond repair, but apparently they said due to the family-friendly nature of this, they needed to do that. Now I understand maybe in certain contexts and maybe certain areas of the con where some cosplays may be unacceptable. As far as I'm concerned though, as long as everything's covered up and everything is sealed properly and nothing's flying out all over the place constantly causing a problem, it shouldn't be a problem. The major argument is if you can wear it to a public pool, then how on earth is it not family friendly? It's that simple as far as I'm concerned, but these rules are so much far and above that, causing people to have to alter their costumes, make them significantly more uncomfortable, and the rules were completely unclear. Again, with Datura being very chesty and having that Datura Lovely costume on, she needed to wear an undershirt underneath that because she was thinking she might have to pull it up to cover some of her cleavage to be in conformance with that because the rules were absolutely 100% unclear on that. And that was causing her to overheat throughout the day, becoming very dehydrated. I mean, well, granted, it was also extremely hot. But that also causes a safety concern because now people are like, well, because the rules are so unclear, nobody knows what's going on. Now we need to wear extra layers just in case we need to cover up so we don't get kicked out. There was also a few other people that I talked to that had similar issues to that. On that same note, guys, this whole for the kids thing, and for all things that like, oh, girls, you have to have your butt covered, or everyone has to have their butt covered. You have to have your chest covered, and oh, please, for the love of God, have straps on. When you walk around a con, any con, especially Denver Comic Con, I'd say probably a solid 80% of the art that's just out in the open and visible in all areas of the con is as close to completely nude as you can possibly get without being absolutely completely nude. So if children can easily see that and not be traumatized, what's the difference between a real human being? There isn't one. There's more nudity and gore and violence in just the art in Comic-Con than the cosplay community itself will ever do. End of story on that one. And this whole thing, again, stemming from this family-friendly thing, is the idea that the con needs to police children for their parents. That's not the way it works. The way these things work is the parents need to police their children and explain these things to them. Talk to them about the gore and the violence. Talk to them about sexuality. But at the same time, it's not like they haven't seen this shit already, guys. We have TV, we have the internet, we have toy guns. Everyone has seen these things. None of this stuff is going to have any negative impact on a child unless the adult is not responsible, in which case they shouldn't be bringing their kid to Comic-Con anyways. Along with the costumes was the prop enforcement in this. The prop enforcement online, from when I read it, was mainly focused on realistic looking firearms. So pretty much if any way, shape, or form in any universe at any time or place can maybe possibly be considered for a real firearm, even if it's ridiculous, it could not be brought in. It would have to be so cartoony it was ridiculous, and that precluded a lot of people from adding significant parts to their cosplays. So for me personally, 2 of those days I was cosplaying Pubaga Guy from PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, just the guy on the cover. Datura Lovely just had generic military-ish kind of stuff on to make it look like characters from Battlegrounds. One of the biggest parts of that would have been realistic looking firearms. Throughout the years, every con that I've been to anyways, and especially every Comic-Con, they were allowed as long as it was orange tip and peace bonded, meaning that you go through weapons check where you hand it to a volunteer, they look at it, they make sure it's non-functional 100%, it can't even if it's a Nerf gun or a super soaker, cannot fire anything in any way, shape, or form. they allowed it because that makes sense. This year, they didn't allow those things. You can have anything that maybe possibly could have been construed as real, along with other things that said if your prop was made of metal, it needed to be piece bonded to make sure that you could demonstrate that it had no sharp edges and couldn't actually, like, stab somebody, even though you could do that with a pen, which are allowed. So those things put together made for a lot of costumes that just went unfinished. It actually had a pretty big impact on mine. It would have been good to have like a scar or something like that slung across my back, a handgun and a holster stuck to the side of my leg or something like that. Also, if you look at groups like the Umbrella Corporation, those guys always have realistic looking firearms because they're supposed to look tactical, and they're a charity group. That's like their thing. So they were pretty much forced to walk around with bananas. They had bananas in their holsters and they wrote "not a gun" on them, and they're like pulling them on people and saying "not a gun." It was actually hilarious. But at the same time, though, that took away significantly from them in their ability to portray who they are as a group and what they do and a lot of the charity work that they do. That was really upsetting, and again, left a lot of costumes unfinished. A lot of people were upset about it. And again, I'm sorry, a child seeing a fake airsoft gun that's disabled with an orange tip on it is not going to traumatize that kid at all in any way, shape, or form, unless a parent failed to, miserably failed to parent that kid. Every kid has toy guns. Every kid sees guns on the internet. Nothing is going to, in TV and all that, none of that's going to affect a child in any way, shape, or form. Again, this is going to come back and forth to the kid-friendly thing, that this has nothing to do with actual security in any way, shape, or form. It has everything to do with feel-good BS. People feel better, and ultimately it's going to come down to 1 or 3 people yelling really loudly that are idiots, ruining everyone else's good time for over 120,000 other people. So that was one of the big ones. Moving on. So this year, the con was reorged slightly. There was the different areas were kind of moved around a little bit, and it actually made it have a different feel, and it actually caused a significant amount of congestion in the con itself. One of the biggest things that they took away was the front of the con. The front of the con was this big open area. For those of you that have not been to the Denver Convention Center, it's where the big blue bear is, and it's the open area with big tall windows. There's beautiful lighting, and it's one of like the main lobby areas. That area was always open to the general public. Like, you needed the badge to get into panels and to get into the exhibit floor, but anyone from the general public can go in that area. That was like known as the cosplay area, like unofficially. All the cosplayers would meet there. All the meetup groups would be there for photographers. Everyone would go there to hang out. Like, when I wanted to go show off my cosplay, or Daytura would want to go, we would always go to that area, and we made it a thing. We got to hit that area for a few hours and just walk back and forth. Just take pictures of people, meet new people. The majority of the people that I meet at Comic-Con were in that area. That area was shut down. I heard a couple different things. I heard that it was actually already rented out to a different group. And then I heard that then it was only for one day, which is Friday, and then that they just closed it down in general. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually agree with Comic-Con. I don't think random people should be allowed inside a convention center if they don't have a badge, including for stuff like that, just take pictures or just to hang out. There's a myriad of reasons for that. I will not go into that. That's not what this video is about. But I actually agree with them with that. But at the same time, though, instead of cordoning off that entire area and not allowing anyone to go in there, they could have posted security at the doors, or locked the doors from the outside so you can open them from the inside for emergency to get out, and then post security people to make sure people aren't coming in. That could have been one smart way of handling it, like they do for the rest of the con. Anyways, so what that did was it made it so there was really no convenient area for cosplayers to go to get pictures taken, to take pictures, to meet people, to talk with people, and just kind of mingle. So what that ended up causing was massive congestion in the con, because where all that stuff would be occurring, or the majority would be occurring over there, now the only other place really was like directly in front of the doors to get back and forth in and out of the exhibit hall. That was really the only place to get that stuff done. Or the massive open areas downstairs, which were constantly crowded with people, because that's where the main event stage is. So when people are lining up or getting out, it's a massive nightmare. But then you have people trying to take pictures, causes more congestion. And same thing happened on the convention floor. Because no one had an area to go to get that stuff done. It was a massive nightmare. It caused a lot of issues. And again, it made it so difficult to get around. It made it extremely inconvenient for both photographers and cosplayers to get pictures taken, take pictures, meet, mingle, or just go out and just relax for a little bit. So guys, here's the other one. The alcohol policy. Let's talk about the alcohol policy. So throughout Denver Comic Con, and again, every con I've ever been to, for the most part, as long as they had an alcohol license, this is the way it worked. There would just be random booths throughout the entire con where you can just go, you can grab a beer. And for those that don't know, Breckenridge Brewery does a beer every single year for Comic Con specifically. This year's one was called I Am Brute. How cute is that? It's adorable. But that's like one of the first things I want to do is I want to go get one of those beers and I want to try them. Some years they're okay, but this year they're actually really good. So I get into the con, and that's one of the first things I told Datura. I was like, dude, we got to go try the beer. And I couldn't find it. Couldn't find beer anywhere. So we ended up going to the Cat for Kids booth, which I will talk about Cat for Kids later in the video at the end. Please stick around for that major announcement. Very cool people. A lot of good stuff happened with that. But anyways, and go find it. So I meet one of my buddies, N810 cosplay, at the Cat for Kids booth. I'm like, dude, where the fuck's all the beer? And he said that it's in one little tiny area and it's shoved way back in the corner. So I'm like, well, that's weird. There's only one area to buy beer for, tens of thousands of people. Okay, whatever. So we go looking for it. It took us like half an hour to navigate through the con and finally actually find it because it was tiny and shoved all in the back and it was cordoned off. So I'm like, well, whatever. Finally, if I found beer, let me just go grab a beer and try this new one, see what I think of it. Daytura's actually the one pointing out, like, once you get in there, you can't get out. With that beer. I'm like, we talk about it, and it says no alcohol beyond this point. It's kind of like the little smoker areas in airports where they put you in a little 10 by 10 fish tank and you have like 30 people in there trying to fucking just have a cigarette. It was the exact same thing. You could not take that alcohol and go out into the con floor with it. Because again, it's for the children, guys, because if a child sees an adult with a beer, that child's irreparably damaged. We all know that for, all the children that get just PTSD just from being at a restaurant watching their parents have a beer, right? As far as I know, their alcohol's never been an issue at Comic-Con, but again, for the children, right? As well as sometimes the exhibitors themselves want a beer, and there's nothing like walking around a con with a beer, not being drunk, not being thrashed, but just walking around enjoying a cold beer, looking at art, talking to people, meeting people. That was one of the big things. It's a social thing, guys. It's the way it works. It was so good, but they wanted to cram everyone back there, and I literally told the tourists, like, you know what? I don't even want one. Because I'm not going to be stuck back there, crammed in with a bunch of people just so I can have a beer. That's absolutely absurd. And I'm not going to take it out on the floor and then just get harassed by people constantly and be told to throw it out after I paid, $7 for one beer. How do people sleep at night that charge people that much for a beer? That's it. Anyways. So, then we ended up going downstairs because the downstairs area, they had a few bartenders and you could take it throughout the entire downstairs area of the con. There's not really a whole lot to see downstairs. That's where the majority of the panel rooms are, but there's some stuff like Umbrella Corps was down there. There's some exhibitors. There's a bunch of cosplayers that you could talk to and stuff like that. So, I mean, that was okay, but I was like, I want to be up in the exhibit hall buying shit, irresponsibly spending money, but couldn't do that. So the next day, what they did was they took that little tiny area because Breckenridge complained. From what I heard, a guy I know knows the owner and said, like, dude, I sunk 15 grand into this con and I make a beer for you guys every single year, and that's what you do to me. That one hurts the beer sales significantly because people like me are like, dude, fuck that. I'm not going to be in a goddamn playpen timeout just so I can have a beer, right? But also, it hurts the exhibitors that just want a beer while they're chilling. It hurts their sales because, let's be honest, people get a little bit buzzed, they spend more money. That's just the way it is. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Everyone knows that's how it works. But they're also hurting them because their revenues are going to go down slightly. So what they did was they put it behind the fence in like the food court-ish area, which all the kids are going to be at anyways. You couldn't take the alcohol out to the con floor, but you could have it back there where, again, that's where the majority of the food is at the damn con and all the seats are. And you can be drinking back there and that's okay, but you can't on the floor because of the children, which are going to be in both places anyways. I don't know. I don't know if they just miserably failed to like get their alcohol license shit squared away, or if it's really this for the kids argument on that one. But that one was absolutely absurd. For as much as it sounds like I'm bitching because I couldn't have a beer like I'm always drinking on Twitch and shit like that, it's much more than that. Just for all the reasons I just explained. And then after they threw everything all in the back of the con, they took it all away from downstairs. So that's the only area you could have gotten like a beer or any drink for that matter. And then again, you could not take it out in the con floor. I don't know. And here's one of the big ones, guys. This is one of the biggest ones that, through all that, in my opinion, all those are bad policies. They're all bad policies, and they're all emotion-based and make no sense and have nothing to do with security. Speaking of security, let's talk about that now. There was no security at the con whatsoever. Let me be very clear about that. There was a shitload of security people there and security measures, but zero security whatsoever. And I have two stories to relate to this. One, Datura and I being Red Bull terrorists, and then also Frying Pan Rubber Rampage, apparently. But both of these issues stem from the fact that the training between the security staff, the volunteers, everyone that was working at the con was abysmal. Now, with a few exceptions, this is largely not their fault, because when you get hired to do something or you volunteer to do something, you don't know what to do. You just sit there and be like, what do I do? And they tell you what to do, right? Now, if the training's poor and nobody knows what to do, it causes massive problems. These inconsistencies, I saw people there with thongs that you're not allowed to have on the con floor. I saw people with fake guns with orange tips that looked real other than the orange tip that you were not allowed to have. But then again, you get people that are being threatened to kick out for minor props that don't even look like, that are not weapons at all. Which that's the one I'll tell you about in a minute. These inconsistencies and absolutely horrendous, abysmal training from the con organizers themselves are what led to these poor, shitty rules actually turning into a major, major problem. And I think this one topic right here is what led to it. So Comic-Con was saying this is all about security, right? So I know a little bit about security, and this is what it was. There was no goddamn security because when you walked into the con, the first 2 days I walked in through special entrance because I was a panelist. I was a panelist for 2 panels, one Friday, one Saturday. So I got to go in the special entrance. The first day I walked through there, I have a drop leg holster for my Pubaga cosplay, and I go in. I was like, yeah, I'm a panelist, and he's like, okay, cool. What do you have in your pouch? So I had a Red Bull, and I was gonna go take that out, and I had some cards. I was gonna go take everything out so you can see it because I can't easily just take the whole thing off. And he's like, no, just tell me what's in there. Just tell me what's in there. What kind of fucking security is that? I was just supposed to be like, my fucking Uzi's in here, like fully loaded. What do you? Are you serious? Like, how secure is that? Just because I have a panelist badge, I'm not gonna fucking bring in a real gun and go kill a bunch of people. That blew me away. So I'm like, just a can of Red Bull and some business cards. It's like, oh, okay, cool, have a good day. And that was it. I'm not the only person that happened to, by the way. Almost everybody I talked to that happened to. By the way, you need to have a special panelist badge or exhibitor badge to go through that entrance. I saw multiple people without them walk straight in there and just kind of walk in, mess with their bag a little bit, and walk straight on in. And the security was watching them, didn't say anything. All they have was a regular 3-day badge. That's not security. Then one of the days, we had to go through security because I was in a panelist last day. Well, I did another time anyways. But anyways, so then you go into 1 of 2 lines, bags or no bags, right? So we went to the bags ones because we had backpacks because it was actually part of our cosplay. So we go in through the bag area, and they, I opened up my bag before I got there because I'm used to going through security stuff like this, right? So it just makes it easier and quicker and more efficient. I opened up my bags, and we set on the table, and this is what they do. They just barely open the front flap, not all the other pockets, mind you, just the front flap, and peek in, and now you're good to go. I was like, I have clothes in there, and I could fucking have anything. I could have an AR pistol in there for all you fucking know. They didn't look at all. I had, again, my drop leg. They didn't even ask me about it. What's in there, even though it's obviously bulging, there's obviously shit in there. They didn't do any pat downs on people to feel for weapons, like around your waistband, your ankles, up on your neck area where weapons are frequently carried, knives, guns, etc. I didn't see one. I heard one person say I was pat down. I'm like, cool, well, at least one, right? We know one person isn't armed illegally at a con. And on top of that, with the bag search and stuff, there's no wanding. They didn't wand a single fucking person with a metal detector. Say, hey, is there a gun on your waistband that we can't see because it's concealed? That didn't happen either. There was no security. And not a single person that walked through security that I watched, I would say there's a good chance that they don't have a weapon on them. I was like, there's no way that you would know if they even had a weapon. And that was almost every single person that went in. It was mind-blowing to me. So all that accomplished was, one, people feel better, and I don't care what your feelings are. I care about the reality of it. Are we safer or are we not safer? One, we were no safer when we were last con, but people feel better. So good for those 3 or 4 people that bitched about this shit. And then on top of that, there was wow, I just lost it. So this led into the Red Bull incident. So day 3, where Daytura and I are in public again, right? We head out to the security line. We go through bags, right? So again, they don't even ask me what's in my drop leg at all. One guy in security asked us hey, everyone, and this is in back of the line. They're like, hey, everybody walking past me, put your hands up and just kind of spin really quick, while they're in line, so you can just see that there's no guns and holsters or anything fake or anything like that. Fair enough. Okay, why not? I'll do that. So we go through the line, right? That was the first part of security. Close enough. I'll take it, whatever. And we go to the bag area. They don't ask me about my drop leg, what's in there, even though it's bulging. There's obviously shit in there. Granted, I didn't have anything illicit. Granted, I'll say this, I do know people that were legally carrying firearms in there, but again, they didn't do pat down, so why would you not bring it in for your own safety, in my opinion? Anyways, so they didn't check that. They barely looked in my bag. For Daytura, what they did, even though her bag was open, the guy just picked it up off the ground and then put it back on the table. That was it. Just picked it up. Okay, you're good. That was his search. Wait. Oh yeah, that's not how much a gun weighs. That was it. Didn't even fucking look inside of it. So anyways, She was wearing, as you'll see in the pictures, you go on my Facebook page, wink, wink. Is she was wearing a tactical vest that kind of looks like a level 2 from Pabaga. And in the AR-15 mag pouches, which there are 6 of them, we had Red Bull cans, right? Because it's from the game. It's funny. That's what I had in my drop like too. It's good for pictures. It looks hilarious. People that play the game, they know. So, anyways, I walk in and then I hear Deter say, "Code, stop, hold on." And so I go back, and then the security person was waving us back, security. I'm like, well, what's up? And she's like, you guys can't have aluminum cans in there. I was like, what are you talking about? We've been in here for the last 2 days with these things, and it's never been a problem. They're just props. She's like, well, we're not allowing aluminum cans. And then she points to the table where they're like confiscating aluminum cans from people. I was like, that wasn't in the rules. I was like, we read the rules, and that was not once in any way, shape, or form in there that you can't bring outside food or drink. And she's like, well, it's a new policy. It just changed. I was like, why? What happened? What is so terrible about a Red Bull or any kind of aluminum can that can't bring it in? People making shanks out of it. People have pocket knives that they're walking in with them. Like that guy that just walked past us. I was like, those aren't prohibited because those are a normal thing that everyone carries. Why can't I have an aluminum can? And I was like, and on top of that, they sell these in the con. There's a vending machine right there through the doors that sells this exact same thing. Why can't I bring it in? No answer, obviously. I was thinking about filming this, but I was like, you know what? This person's just a dumb idiot. It's not their fault that they're a dumb idiot. And again, they just do what they're told, right? So that's on the con, not them. So I chose not to film this situation, even though I considered it. So I told him to get someone higher up over here to explain legitimately what's going on here. Because, I mean, like I said, these are props. They're part of our cosplay. It was taking forever. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. We're not even taking... She's like, well, you could take one in. I was like, okay, yeah, you can have one and not be a terrorist, but you can't have more than one Red Bull can. And granted, every single exhibitor always had energy drinks. People walking in the con. I mean, oh my god, I'm already getting pissed off again. This took about like 15 minutes to resolve. There was no reason for it. As far as I'm concerned, the best explanation I could possibly think of in my own head is it's a money grab, so you could be forced to buy. Same thing as in the airport. Well, you can't have that. You can't bring that in, but you could buy it once you get in there. It's the same shit. Has nothing to do with security. And the cans were closed, right? If it was a can that maybe you could put something inside that could be a weapon, okay, maybe, unless you can demonstrate that there's nothing dangerous in there. But it's a sealed aluminum can, for fuck's sake. So anyways, this caused a massive, massive issue, apparently. We couldn't come in with aluminum cans, even though that they were not prohibited a couple days before. No one had any idea why they were quote-unquote banned, and you could still buy them inside. So if I could do anything dangerous with that shit, I could do it when I bought one inside. Hey, but at least they got the money from it, right? Anyways, that was the first one. Nobody knew what was going on. It was taking too long, so I was like, you know what, Deter, fuck it. Throw this shit away. Just throw in the garbage can, and we're going to walk in. Goodbye. And we did that, kept one, walked in. Because I was not going to sit there and wait for someone to get there. I figured there'd be someone in line that was close enough, but there wasn't. And by the way, while this was happening, I was pointing out, I was like, hey, that guy could very easily have a gun on him. Nobody patted him down. No one even looked inside of his bag. He walked straight in with the backpack. No one even told him to take it off. And she's like, yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. So they're more worried about people bringing in soda cans than they actually are about people having legitimate weapons that are not allowed to have in the con. Think about that for a second. I'm going to literally pause right here. Think about that. I hope you thought about that. Long and deep and hard. Sorry, can't help it. Yeah. Next part. The rubber frying pan rampage incident. So Deter had a rubber frying pan. She had it in her hand the whole time, walking through security. While this whole Red Bull Terrorism thing, because, you know, we're Red Bull terrorists now, was going on, she's like, what about this? It's obviously rubber, it's light, it's fake. And she's like, that's fine. On top of the fact that we passed 3 others, so 4 people total, security people in line that saw it, that felt it, that looked at it, and they're like, that's fine, that doesn't need to be peace bonded. That's only for weapon-ish kind of props. Which frying pan is not. Frying pan's a fucking frying pan. On top of the fact that even if it was real and metal, that wasn't prohibited either. Because as long as you can demonstrate no sharp edges, which the frying pan obviously doesn't have sharp edges, it doesn't need to be peace bonded. That's what was listed in their rules online, and that's what we were told for all the people that we went through while they were worried about, calling President Trump and the NSA and the FBI about us having some Red Bulls and trying to go into convention center with them. Anyways, so we get in the con. I'm talking to a vendor about this card game, which I'm so excited to play. Sounds like fun. Deter's behind me, and here someone starts talking to her. I'm not listening to them. I don't know what's going on, right? So I'm talking to the dude, and then afterwards I turn around, and Deter looks fucking furious. Absolutely furious. What happened? The guy had already walked off by this point. And she said that that was a volunteer that came up and threatened, told her that she needed to immediately go get her frying pan peace bonded. And if he saw us again, he was going to kick us out. We're not going to be allowed. They're going to take our badges from us. And I was like, wait, what? And she said all she told the guy was like, okay, fine, we'll go get it peace bonded. I wasn't aware that we needed to. If you could do me a favor and just like kind of spread that around to other people to let people know, because we walked through security and asked them specifically, and they said no. And based on the rules written online, we didn't need to. And he, I guess, went off and threatened to kick her out and all that kind of stuff after she said that she's just going to wait for me to finish talking to the guy and then we're going to go right over there, which we fully intended to do because rules are rules, whatever. You like them, you don't like them. You agreed to them when you got your badge, you know. So at the end of the day, that is what it is. We'll go do it. But he was borderline yelling at her from what she told me. Because again, I was focused on the guy in front of me. I didn't even know she was talking to a security guy or a volunteer or whatever behind me. So she was furious. I don't blame her. I would have been too, because based on everything I just said, didn't need to happen. This guy was a raging dick. Him being a dick has nothing to do with Comic-Con. Him being poorly trained and not having a fucking clue what he's talking about is on Comic-Con. Just to be clear. So he tells her it's all the way on the other side of the exhibit floor, which is level 2. We walk all the way. This, by the way, this entire thing took over 2 hours. So I'm going to abridge this shit. We walk all the way over there, go to information. Where the fuck is weapons check? He's like, not here. They should have checked that when you came in. Okay. And he's like, what's a weapon? We show it to him. He's like, are you fucking serious? Someone yelled at you and threatened to kick you out over this? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, dude, just put it back in your backpack and take it out for pictures. Who cares? It's fine. You don't need to peace bond that. But whatever. We didn't want to get harassed by fucking volunteer Rambo over here again. So we're like, we're going to go get this shit peace bond. We go back downstairs, right? To the main downstairs area lobby. We go back up to exactly where we walked in, walk up to the information person. Where the fuck is peace bonding? I don't see it. And she's like, oh, that's in lobby B, which is clear on the other side of where we were on the bottom level. So we walk all the way over there. We go over there and we go up to the first information people. I see, where the fuck is peace bonding? We need to get this peace bonded. And by the way, we're in the con, and there's an area just outside of the con where people are still getting their badges. And she's like, they should have done that when you walked in. I'm like, okay, girl, look, I'm not mad at you because this isn't your fault. Okay, you have nothing to do with this, but you're like the 4th, 5th person that we talked to, because there was more people in between us and trying to abridge this. It's like, they're telling us to go all different ways, and we have literally covered the entire con floor, both floors, just trying to get this shit peace bonded so we cannot be harassed about it. So like, go talk to that security guy right there. So we did. Hey, dude, where we get this piece bonded? He's like, dude, just walk right through here, get in the line. This is like the line to get into the con, but they're giving people the wristband saying that the weapon is safe or whatever. Weapon. And so we do that. We get in, and then we finally get through the line, which was short, to be fair. It was short because it was, in the middle of the con by this point. And then we show it to them, we get a piece bond. They're like, oh, we need to search through all your stuff. The one time we actually get searched, we're like, we were just standing directly behind you. We were in the con already. We were already here. But whatever. Look through all our shit and fine. This took almost 2 hours because we had to clear the con floor several times on different floors, just trying to go to where it was peace bonded. Now, as a big organization, you cannot possibly police that many, people, right? But you can get legitimate information out to them. And I'm talking about like the volunteers and shit. So what happened was not a single fucking person that we talked to knew at all where peace bonding was, where people needed to go, and what even needed to be peace bonded. The dude that yelled at Datura, his excuse was, we posted this shit on Facebook. I'm sorry. That's not a legitimate way to disseminate information to 120,000 people that go to a con. They need to have signs up or something saying, hey, look, we had a policy change or whatever to notify people so they could be in conformance. I don't want to be out of policy, but you have to let me be in policy by letting me know what the fucking policies are. If something changes, you need to have some way of identifying that, letting people know. If I would have saw a sign at the beginning, say, today, no more aluminum cans or whatever, well, I would have been pissed, but fuck, whatever, just toss them. You know what I'm saying? But there was no communication whatsoever from the con, from the volunteers, and actually from the con to the volunteers either, because volunteers had no fucking idea what was going on. Throughout the entire day, I saw people, again, like I said earlier, with fake weapons, with that looked real, with people that were way outside of the costume, proper costume policy. People that were walking around with aluminum cans all over the place. And some people were getting yelled at, some people were not getting yelled at. This was back and forth all day. Damn. Those are 2 major incidents that stemmed from everything. Let me just give you guys a little ending thing here. The con was fun, don't get me wrong, and I bitch loudly, right? But the thing is, I'm always fair about it. I'm always fair about my complaining and bitching, and there's almost always good things over the bad things. This year was the complete opposite from Denver Comic Con. When they announced a lot of these rule changes last year, over half of their board of directors quit. over half of them. So because of these rule changes from a minority of them, probably from 3 or 4 people that are idiots yelling really loudly and ruining everyone else's good time, 120,000 other people is probably what this stemmed for. Those people leaving, we lost a significant portion of experience. And I think that on top of the poor changes is what led to this con in a lot of ways being miserable. Even though there's a lot of parts that were a blast and were fun, it's Comic-Con, I get to see my friends again. It was beautiful. And it's one of my cosplays, like one of my bigger things now, even though I'm focused more on streaming on Twitch now and I do cosplay. Still a big part of my life, still a big part of the shit that I do. I know this video is long, guys. I apologize for that. If anyone's actually stuck around this long, I thank you. I want to make this like 10 minutes. That's just not going to fucking happen even after editing. But anyways, this whole kid-friendly thing that has nothing to do with being kid-friendly just destroyed a lot of portions of the con. On top of the fact that, I'm sorry, kids at conventions are great, and they should happen, because these kids get to meet their heroes and shit like that. It's not the kids being dumb, it's the adults being dumb. That's what it is. But think about it. The nerd culture, the median age for that demographic is 35 years old, not 5. They need to cater to that squad. And what they had in the past for Denver Comic Con is kid-specific areas that were phenomenal, that were super awesome. And they did a great job. And you know what? The kids walked around in previous cons and most other cons throughout the entire nation with their parents having a nice ice cold beer, walking around with a fake gun with an orange tip on it, walking around with, oh God forbid, no straps for their bra. And guess what? Not a single kid has ever been affected by that unless their parents raise them very poorly and tell them they need to be affected by that. And those people shouldn't be bringing their kids to cons. This does not affect children. Not one of those fucking things affects children in any negative way, in any way, shape, or form. It's all feel-good bullshit. So 4 people can feel good while all these other people get hurt, crowded into other areas and all this other bullshit. And cosplayers are hurt. Vendors are hurt. It's just, it was absurd. It was absolutely absurd. That's where I'm going to end the video. I'm going to do a little thing right here, and it's going to clip very quickly, just like that. Oh, God, how loud is that? Sorry. Go straight into a little thing for Cap for Kids, guys. Thank you for hanging out. If you liked the video, or even if you hated it, give me a like, a dislike. Subscribe to my channel for more stuff like this. Like I said, I primarily do stuff on Twitch, and this is where all the Twitch shenanigans gets archived. I will be live on Twitch earlier today, yeah, right? Later today, and we're gonna be doing some shenanigans. I got to show you guys the loot that I got from Denver Comic Con, but they did buy good shit. So anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. I'm Code 3 Cosplay. I am a streamer and a cosplayer, and I hail from the Rocky Mountains in Denver. Thank you very much. All right, so like I told you, very end of the video, I want to give a shout out to Cap for Kids. For those of you that are not aware, Cap for Kids is an organization, 5013C or whatever order those numbers and letters go in. Charitable organization run by my friends Vorian Cosplay, Rad Cosplay, as well as a lot of other cosplayers, but they were the brain children of it, whatever. I talk about it a lot on my channel. I talk about it a lot on Twitch. Very, very, very good group. What they do is they raise money to help families with kids that are going through cancer treatment. Because as we all know, medical treatment is extraordinarily expensive, especially for cancer treatment. So what they do is they give money with the cap, as far as I remember, $10,000 to families to help them with their mortgages, their car payments, groceries, anything that they need that money for, to kind of help put a dent in their finances in a positive way, because so much of it's going to be going to treating their own child for cancer, and hopefully take some of that stress off of their entire family for having to go through such a horrific thing. They do a lot of good work. This year, in one day, from what I was told, they raised more money in one day than they did throughout the entire convention last year. So slow clap. You guys did an absolutely amazing job. I love you guys to death. Your charity means a lot. At the end of the day, they made over $5,000. They made over $5,000 in 3 days, which is insanely substantial for Cap for Kids in order to help. They 100% of the money that they get from individuals, they put straight back into the organization itself. They only use corporation or corporate donations to cover the actual financial cost, meaning a lot of this money actually comes out of their own pockets. So they are doing this from the bottom of their hearts. They're doing a lot of good work, guys. I'm going to put a link down in the description. I would ask you guys, please go down there and give them a just consider doing a donation to them. Even $1 helps, guys. Even $1. They have a lot of good people working there, and they do a lot of good work, and they absolutely need to be supported. They killed it this weekend, and if anyone deserves a shout out, it's them. Everyone that works for Cap for Kids, you guys rock. You killed it this year. Good for you guys. And even better, even more important than that, good for the kids that are going through cancer treatment. Hopefully we can give them a little bit of respite in this horrible time that those families are going through. Anyways, that's it, guys. See you later.